At the time of this recording, everyone and their mama is scrambling to hop into the short-term rental game when it comes to Airbnb, VRBO, or just short-term rentals in general. The reason being that there was a huge insurge of Airbnb hosts entering the market in 2021 due to the income potential. Travel was inflated because people hadn't left their houses for a whole year, maybe even more. So there was a lot of what's called revenge travel going on. This time around, the market is in the process of correcting itself, and a lot of Airbnb hosts aren't going to survive the next 18 to 24 months if they don't change a few things. If you're an Airbnb host or you're considering becoming one, you're going to like this video because we're going to be covering 10 items that are essential to have in your Airbnb if you want to be successful in both the short term and long term. In this video, we're going to specifically be talking about, I don't know if people would consider real estate nowadays, or I'll just say Airbnb, hospitality, whatever you want to say. But we're going to be covering those 10 items that I described in the intro. Now, y'all hear me talk a lot about customer avatar and who are you catering to, and that will kind of dictate what you buy and what you don't buy. But I've kept these 10 items pretty universal, so it doesn't matter who you're catering to, whether it's leisure travelers or people needing to stay between leases and apartments or remote workers. These 10 things are just universal things that are great for everyone to have. So let's get into it. So the first item on the list is a Minut sound monitoring device, or you could go with noise monitor, just some kind of sound monitoring device. I've experienced with Minut, so that's why I'm specifically recommending them. But the reason you want to have this is it gives you the ability to monitor the sound levels inside your units without necessarily putting a camera in there. Because if you put a camera inside the units, then you gotta disclose that, and that's gonna deter a lot of guests from booking. On top of that, there are liability reasons that guests could make up some stuff and then get your listing banned from Airbnb just because you got cameras in there. But you do need to know what's going on in there, because if someone throws some party or something, you need to know so you can take the proper precautions and get them out of there and cancel the reservation. Of course, that's an extreme scenario. A more mundane one is, let's say the noise is just getting too loud and it's disturbing the neighbors. Well, the Minut device can be set up so that you'll get an alert if it's too noisy for a duration of time. I have mine set for 10 minutes, so you can message your guests and let them know that they need to quiet down. In fact, you can set up auto messages to have Minut actually do this for you. Pretty useful tool to have. If you're not going to use Minut, use some kind of sound monitoring device, because these scenarios need to be accounted for so that you can take the appropriate steps to make sure everything runs smoothly with your booking. The second item that all Airbnb hosts should have, in my humble opinion, is a Ring camera. And once again, you can substitute a Ring camera for any other kind of camera, but you might be thinking you just said you shouldn't put cameras in your unit. This is for outside of your unit. So you put the camera, whether it be Ring camera or whoever, outside of the unit so that you can see who's coming and who's going. And you need to put this in your house rules, just like I didn't say this with Minut, but you need to put that in your house rules too, to use sound monitoring devices and cameras outside the unit, because the guests do need to be notified per Airbnb's policy. But once that's done, being able to see who's going and who's coming, you can make sure that whoever's booking the place will be staying there. They're not booking it for someone else. They're not doing a third-party booking. So if you watch my house rules videos, I don't recommend you do third-party bookings, because it increases the chance that some bad stuff can happen. Watch that video if you want more details on that. But not only can you see who's coming and going, but if they're bringing in extra guests, if you have it in your house rules that you charge for extra guests, you can submit this evidence to Airbnb later and get paid via that way. It's also obviously good to have for security reasons, because a lot of people won't try any dumb stuff if they see the Ring camera there. It's very good to have for security reasons, but other practical reasons. The third item is a phone charger. Now, the one I have on the screen is a multi-phone charger that will have 6 slots for pretty much 6 people to put their phones in and charge it. But each charger is, shaped differently, so that it doesn't matter what kind of phone they have. There's going to be a charger on there that's going to allow them to charge their phone. And all they got to do is click it on. And if you have multiple guests, this is great because everyone can kind of just put their phone in there, charge it up, and when they're ready to go, take their phone out. Very convenient. Guests love it. I've really yet to see a guest not use it. Every time I go into units, I see evidence that it's been used, whether it's moved out of place or it's on or whatever. So guests really love it, and it's something that doesn't really cost that much. Just like all the items that I'm talking about, the link to this specifically will be in the description, but it is something that guests really appreciate, and it's just good to have. Our fourth item is fake plants. I kind of wish I had one in front of me to show you, but I'll just flash a picture on the screen. But you know, fake plants help to paint a decor inside the your unit or house, and it's something that can, you know, add a little something to it that isn't really that expensive. Now, you might be asking why not use real plants. So real plants require watering and more upkeep. So you'll need to notify your housekeeper to do that stuff, or you'll need to do it. And plants feed off the energy of human beings. So you got multiple human beings going through there. So unless you're catering to an extremely happy bunch, which you don't have any control over there, you don't know what emotional state people are going to be coming in there with, chances are you might end up killing a bunch of plants, and it won't even be your fault. Back in the day, people would buy a plant. Well, they still do it. They'll buy a plant just to monitor, you know, their emotional state. If it starts to die, they know they need to turn things around. They turn it around and the plant starts flourishing again. That's not going to be in the play. I mean, the plant will just die because it's feeding off these energies of people and their negative thoughts, and nothing's going to change. I don't have any desire to do that. So fake plants is the way to go, in my opinion, and it can add to the interior decor, and it'll make the unit just pop a little more. And fake plants tend to enhance whatever decor style you're usually going to. So consider adding them. The fifth item that's great to have for your rental units is a bed cover. Now, a lot of people underestimate the value of a bed cover, and I'm going to tell you a personal story. I had a scenario where someone wasted wine on the mattress in one of my units, and that would have been a big problem if I didn't have a bed cover, because the bed cover stands between the actual mattress and whatever liquid or accident happens on the surface. So all you gotta do is take the bed cover off, either replace it or wash it, whatever you want to do. The bed cover costs like 30 bucks, so it's not that expensive. But if it would have soaked into the mattress, it would have created a smell and a stain, and replacing a, you know, $500 king size mattress would be a tad bit inconvenient. And for those of y'all that's saying, well, why don't you charge the guests or have air cover covered on Airbnb? In most cases, air cover will cover an item needing to be replaced up to $150. So you're gonna have to really fight to get them to cover more than that. Why not just avoid the fight? Get a bed cover, and if you need to get that replaced, have air cover replace that. Of course, that's just one scenario where this could happen. What if they have children? A child has a little accident in bed. I mean, like, there's several scenarios where a bed cover can really save you money, save you time, and save you effort. The sixth item that we're gonna cover is a portable fan. Now, if you have a fan in your units or in your rooms, like let's say you have a house and you've had fans installed, that's fine. But I have portable fan on here because that's not going to be a scenario that everyone might be able to implement. If you're renting an apartment at an apartment complex, you might not be able to get permission to install a fan, for instance. You might be able to, it really just depends. But let's assume like you can't. Having a portable fan gives someone the option to not only have, you know, a fan that they can use, but some people need the noise of a fan to get to sleep. If it's not there, at least for the first few days of their stay, they're gonna kind of be like staying awake, just like lying up there, looking at the ceiling, trying to go to sleep. We don't want our guests to go through that. So have a portable fan so they can turn that fan on, so they can create that fan noise they need to pleasantly go to sleep. The seventh item is blankets, and extra blankets at that. This is something that is actually going to save you some money when it comes to the winter time in your Airbnbs. So when it's cold, the heater is probably going to get abused by your guests, going to leave that stuff on all the time. You got a few people who have ice in their veins and don't mind it being 60 degrees, but we're going to go ahead and assume that that's the minority. I mean, I can personally say that after looking at my bill for it, the majority of people aren't like that. When someone gets cold, their first instinct might not necessarily be to turn the heater on. If the blankets are in sight, that's another thing, you got to make them in sight too. So like when they're hanging up their clothes, make sure the blanket is somewhere they can see so they're aware it exists. But they may actually just go get the blanket. If they go get the blanket, they don't turn the heater on, then that's actually going to save you some money on a bill. So just having extra blankets can actually save you some money in the long term, in particular when it comes to the winter time. Our eighth thing that's great to have as an item in your Airbnb units is a coffee maker. This is something that most people have come to expect from Airbnb units. They expect you to have a coffee maker. If you don't have it, that actually may be the deciding factor on whether they book you or book someone else. So by not having it, you're actually falling behind the competition. Now, I'm gonna confess that I'm not a huge drinker of coffee. I just provide a coffee maker. There is a science to what coffee maker to buy if you want to get more advanced into making coffee. A simple coffee maker works for me and my units, but if you did want to get more advanced, you technically could, and guests would actually appreciate it. So that's something to consider. I'm not the expert on coffee, so can't really lace you up on game. I thought I would mention it so that you would know that nowadays it's expected for you to have a coffee maker. And speaking of coffee, that leads us into the ninth item, which is, I made the wrong finger sign. The ninth item, which is the coffee itself. Now, me personally, I actually don't supply coffee. Controversial, right? I actually supply coffee alternatives that are a lot better for you and your health. You can see what they are on the screen. And actually, a lot of guests have actually been drinking it. So that's good to see. But in general, I don't want to really provide something that's so bad for people's health. Coffee's not good for you. But people appreciate it if you do provide coffee and a variety of coffee at that. If you're not going to provide coffee, you should probably consider providing a coffee alternative like I've done. And you'd be surprised. Some people will actually try it, and who knows, maybe they'll replace coffee with that. I don't have any way of figuring out if that's the case. I just don't want to provide coffee for the reasons I mentioned. But provide coffee or provide a coffee alternative. And our final item, the 10th item, is actually books to read. In most cases, it doesn't matter who you're catering to. There's going to be someone in the group that actually wouldn't mind checking out what reading material you have in your units. Now, for me, it's pretty obvious. My book is in all my units, but I also have additional books too. And I tend to like to mix up the genres. I mean, for instance, the Soul Mates and Hot Dates book is extremely popular in one of my units. Like, that's the most interactive book in all of my units. Mine actually comes second, so I'm kind of like, feeling a certain way about this book. But yeah, even still, people really love this when it comes to astrology and entertainment and stuff like that, because that's basically what it talks about. But yeah, I would provide a few books in my unit, at least 4 to 5. I mean, that is what I do, but I'm giving tips to y'all. So the books I tend to have in my mix-up at every unit, because I do have different books in every unit, except for my book, that's in every unit. But the genres are finance or business, astrology, romance, and health and wellness. I have one of each of those type of books in the unit, and people really seem to love them. There are some exceptions where I will include some kind of social book in some of the units, like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, or like Type Talk, where it goes into the different personality types. But in general, those are the base categories I make sure I have in every single unit. And people do appreciate them. They read it, and it can be another source of income in terms of affiliate marketing if you're in Amazon's affiliate program. If you're interested about how I was able to set that up, you want to check this video out where I go into why renting on Airbnb might actually be good for YouTubers to take a look at. But with that being said, that covers 10 items that are good to have as an Airbnb host inside your units. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you're interested in being an Airbnb host, you can sign up using the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell notification if you want to be notified next time I come out with an Airbnb video, and hit the like button if you found value in it. I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to get out there and take control of your financial destiny.